2 days after Doug's release from jail, DHS brought us to court to determine custody and visitation of baby. As he was released with good behavior and had been completing his sessions with the men's behavior program that was ordered, he was granted to supervised visits a week at a supervision center. That wasn't good enough for Doug, though. Once he saw that I was recovering and back on track, he obtained an attorney and brought me to court through the Children's Court. He was once again requesting full custody of baby. Children's Court occurred after 4 months of supervised visitation. The story picks up at the beginning of the Children's Court trial. Children's Court is now in session to determine if the custody and visitation schedule of the child of Doug and Brooklyn should be revised. Currently, the father has to supervise visits a week. Sir, what are you asking from the courts? Your Honor, I am requesting that the courts return my daughter to me immediately for her own safety and I once again regain full custody. Brooklyn is not sane or stable enough to have full custody of any child. Sir, is it not true that you were just released from jail for domestic violence and are mandated to monthly anger management courses for a year? Yes, Your Honor, it is true. How is it then that you consider yourself the sane and stable parent? Your Honor, despite my faults, which I am receiving help for, I have never had a child taken away from me by DCP. How can she be awarded full custody of my daughter? Is this your only argument? It is the only argument that matters. Yes, I was in a toxic and volatile relationship with Brooklyn, but it was violent and toxic on both sides. I was the one who took the fall simply because I am a man. I am a wonderful father, and I should not be forced to leave my child in an unsafe and unstable environment simply because I was the fall guy to our toxic relationship. She is not to be trusted with children. That is why she doesn't have her oldest child. Is there any evidence that Brooklyn was physically violent with you? Oh, I have pictures of scratches from her, and I also have videos of her screaming in my face in front of our child. She is unstable, and it is only a matter of time before her mental instability becomes an issue again. Do you have any witnesses to call forward? No, sir, I do not. I didn't want to advertise how our relationship was, so I never told anyone what was happening or had them come around. Very well. If you have no other statement to make, I will move on to the mother. Ma'am, what are you asking of the court? Thank you, Your Honor. I am requesting to remain the sole custodian for the child in question. I have multiple witnesses to call forward on my behalf that will testify to how Doug is detrimental to her welfare. Is it accurate that your oldest child is in the foster care system currently? No, Your Honor, I have documentation from DHS stating that my children should have never been removed from my custody and giving their apologies for the harm they caused by doing so. That is a lie, Your Honor. She had both children removed from her care due to her extreme mental illnesses. Baby was placed with me, and the oldest was placed in foster care because she doesn't know who the father is. I see the documentation from DHS stating the removal was unwarranted, and that oldest is now safely back in the custody of her mother. Is she coping well being back home? Yes, Your Honor, she is very happy being back with me and her sister. Both children are currently in play therapy to work through any trauma that may arise from this. Your Honor, I would also like to point out that Brooklyn is attempting to alienate me from my daughter and pushing her newest boyfriend on my daughter, forcing her to call him her dad and to call me bad dad. That simply is not true. Then please explain to me and the court why my baby girl, who was just starting to call me daddy before you had me jailed, now refuses to come near me during our visits and calls me bad daddy. She is almost 2 years old. She saw the Abu-Dalari I went through by your hands, and even though she may be too young to remember the Abu-Dalari she went through, her body remembers. That doesn't even make sense. Ma'am, I do see that the children were removed due to concerns of your mental health. Is there a reason that the courts should still be concerned over this? No, Your Honor, I have submitted to a forensic psychological assessment prior to this trial and have the report stating that there is no concerns with my mental health. The report clearly states that issues with my mental health began due to the trauma caused by Doug. I still do deal with anxiety, but I am able to cope and manage my anxiety now that I am not suffering in an Abu-Dalari relationship. And with the concerns of a new partner, are you having your youngest refer to anyone else as dad? No, absolutely not. I have been talking to someone, but even in a serious relationship, I would never have her refer to anyone else as dad. Your Honor, she is lying. I do not trust that she will protect my baby from other men who may attempt to sexually Abu-Dalari her. She is not safe with her mother. Unless you have evidence that this is a valid concern, we will be moving on. Brooklyn, you may call your first witness. Thank you, Your Honor. I will first call forward Officer Blank.